Good day and good evening. Thanks for coming out tonight. I want to present to you Stefan. He jumped in for Robertina, who had a last-minute cancellation. And we're very happy to see you today and talk about your work. I know you from Ars Electronica and Node Festival in Frankfurt. And from here on, please take over.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Rüdiger, and I'm happy to be here and that it was possible to come in such a short time. Yeah, I will show you some of my works. Like I will go through some older works and some newer works, and also what I'm working on. Like I'm based in Linz. I'm living and working there. I'm doing audio-video noise performances and installations. The installations always related to sound or interaction, also light, and I think I will start with this one. And we will see a short video, and then I will talk a bit about it. So that's what's happening if you hit a web server for a long time. At some time it will break and you cannot reach it anymore. And that's basically the idea behind this work, to put the web server into an exhibition and to give the possibility to the user from anywhere in the world to access this website and to destroy this web server. So to give somehow back the possibility to have an influence on the internet, because like if you think about the internet, what is it? Like it's nothing, like not really physical. Like we can save data in the cloud, so it's like even from the words, nothing we can really touch. But actually, there has to be hardware where everything is saved on. Like there has to be hard drives, there has to be servers, and also every website like this one has to be somewhere saved on a server or split on different servers. So it's like in a very simple way to put one website on this computer, and via this website you can reach directly the hardware in the exhibition space, and with the hammers you destroy it, and also if the computer is destroyed, the internet shrinks for a short little moment, I would say, because it's not reachable anymore and just disappears. Yeah, there's some exhibition views. There's this webcam that you can also follow the process from outside, but because of the delay, when you watch the video and you have the last hit, then you won't see the hammer fall anymore because it takes 2 seconds for the video to arrive and then it's gone. And there is like there's I think 31 servers destroyed so far. I think it was like around 10 exhibitions. And there's also a funny story. It was 2014 in an exhibition where I found later this chat on Reddit where some users tried to save the server with a DDoS attack. I didn't notice it during the exhibition because the server is crashing anyway all the time and restarting because it's a quite long process till it's really broken. But it was funny that even some people try to take this point of saving the computer and saving this hardware and not to get it destroyed. Yeah, and then let's switch to the next work. It's also dealing with data and how we like save data, or where is data saved. Is this one is called your unerasable text, and in the exhibition you have a phone number and the message you should send a message, and then what's happening, I will show a short video again. Up, that was one, and I will jump a bit. So you send a message, it will be printed, and then it falls in the paper shredder, and it gets shredded and erased. So it's quite simple. And best if it's exhibited in a shop window, so we can exhibit it 24 hours and just send your messages and get them destroyed, like here in the Ars Electronica Center, where it was until February last year. And that's basically how it's working. Like this is the phone, a phone in the installation receiving it, the computer processing it, and then the printer prints it and it falls in the shredder. But actually what's happening in the background is I'm saving all the messages. So far it's 80,000 messages with the phone number, the message and the date. And that's what's like in the background of this work, or because what does it mean if I send a message? Like I have it on my phone, I have it on the phone of the receiver, but what is in between? Like where is it passing? Who has access to it? And it's also this topic of data preservation, what is by law, by the EU, but you never know like who has access or who is going to exit it. And I like this picture a lot. That's from an exhibition in London, because these two works, especially these two works, is about this group of people, because it's very easy and funny to access them, and you can have fun with these works and experience them. But then there's also this guy who looks quite suspicious. Is like, what is under the surface? What's the questions? Like you can ask a lot of questions about this work. Is why does it work actually, or what is in the background, or why is the website disappearing if I hit it with a hammer? And yeah, and so, but there should also always be like a bit of fun and entertainment, I think. So now that's a bit later works. It's started from 2012. It's a work series. It's called Noise Light Seoul. I started to develop on a residency in Korea, in Seoul. It consists of these three parts: the rotating lights, Jing noise. Jing is this Korean gong, and bang, that means bread. The rotating lights, the first work, is inspired by these lights that are very present everywhere there in restaurants or shops or offices, but those are on the way. Like all these works are like connected to everyday objects or everyday situations in Korea. I experienced, or people experienced there, and those are disappearing. So it's like this fluorescent light is also like here, like it's getting changed to with LED lights, but it's actually quite nice, like, because you have it. It's super cheap, and you find it everywhere. So in every bar you go, you have these lights hanging around. They look like ventilations, but actually just make the light. So I was building an installation that mounted on the wall, and they're starting spinning. I will also show a short part of a video here. So it starts in a dark room, and they start spinning very slowly, but it all goes like it starts spinning and gets faster, and after 4 minutes, it's always continuing faster and faster till it reaches a almost state where it cannot get faster anymore, but it's still getting faster, and at the climax point, they just turn off, and you like have this experience of the climax where it's always getting faster, and at some point turn off, and you're like left in this empty space, dark space. So this works perfectly in a dark room where you have no other light source. Like here in this one in Bergen in Norway. Yeah, and then the next work is this jing noise. It consists of 10 jings, and there it's more about the sound. So it's these 10 objects hanging in the space, like very static. But on the back side they have this solenoid that is hitting them. And there it's not like with the rotating light is 4 minutes cycle, and here's a cycle of 20 minutes. So they start hitting with a break of 2 minutes and getting faster till they get the state of that they get the jing resonating. And because they're manufactured by hand, they have all a different sound. So at the end they have all a different frequency. At the start they all hit by the same time with 2 minutes break, and then it's getting shorter till it's starting resonating. And so it's also creating this the state of climax where you can experience the space, but takes a very long time. Then this the third work that was happening like 1 year later when I came back to Korea. It's called bang, that means bread. And this is also related to like something very typical in Korea is this street merchants that are selling like all kinds of stuff, driving around, and you hear them everywhere. In this case it's fruits or tomato, and this one bang. And especially this one, because when I went there the first time, it was 2012, when I was living there in the 3rd floor in an apartment, I always could hear it in the morning. It's once a week. And this one has a quite special sound, I will show you soon. So I got somewhat interested what this is, but never could catch it because they can't, you hear them and then they're gone, and I was always surprised, like how are they selling something, because you cannot even get downstairs till they're left again. So I never saw this car, but the sound was very typical. When I came back in 2015, I had a cigarette in the backyard and heard the sound again. It was a totally different place in the city. And then I recorded it and showed it to friends, and they all know the sound, but nobody saw this car. I will play you the sound because it's quite unique. So it's like almost a singing, and of course I didn't understand. I understand bang, that means the bread. And then I was showing to many people, and everyone said I hear it before, but they don't really know. So when I came back in 2016, I started to search because I already had the idea, I had the name for the installation, and then I started to search for this bang person. And so I was recording a lot of these other vehicles, but never could catch him until I also went out every day, and then my friends went to shops, and also the shop owners, they knew him, but the one said he's coming Monday, and the other said on Tuesday in the same street, so they also don't really know, but everyone knew him. And so I went out like for several weeks, and then on one day I met him. So it was like a super happy day for me, but he didn't understand English, and I didn't understand him. But it must be very strange for him because I was really happy. And then I was standing there recording his sound. Yeah, so it was very funny, and bought also some bread. This is a corn bread. And that's how it looks in the back. So after I finally had this sound after some weeks, I could finish the, no, it's the wrong screen. I could finish the installation. Like it's a mixture of all, like also other merchants, but this one was like the most important for me to have this one also in it. And the installation consists of 10 megaphones that are also like very typical for these cars. And what was also interesting was to find out that it's actually got illegal to use the megaphones on the cars. So, but they're still using it on the suburban areas, but in the city center they're not using them anymore. They're just standing. So it's also something that is disappearing there. So you have the sound, and I will just, because it's a bit long. So in the middle you have these 4 speakers turning that are delivering the sound into the megaphone microphones, and that's how you get a very fragmented sound that is traveling in the space. And also it's getting mixed because it's 4 speakers, like 4 small speakers, and a lot of different sounds and going in every direction, so it gets quite noisy. I'm sorry, the video is not really appropriate how it really sounds like in the space then. So just this picture of these 4 speakers in the middle. That is also like, it's the same principle like for the lights, where it starts very slowly and then speeds up to a very high speed, and then it gets more fragmented and more distorted. So, and then I want to show you, like, from the installation, the last one, the latest work I finished last year is called DSD-8AS, and it's quite critical, but it's the type designations of the solenoids. Like, that's how, when you buy them, that's the name of them. And it works, or better, I show you also just a short part of the video. So it's these metal rails and solenoids on each side, and the metal pole. The metal pole functions as a switch. Like the rail and the solenoid are connected with plus and minus, and the pole is connecting the head of the solenoid with the minus on the rail. So it's switching the solenoid, but in the same moment when it's turning on, it's also turning off because it's pushing the pole away. And that's how like a self-controlled system starts, because once you start pushing the pole, it's just running. And because of the inaccuracy of the production of the solenoid, because they're just made for pushing and not to be very super accurate, and also at the contact, because it gets like this dust and it's not quite big, the contact, it's getting malfunctions and it's like getting inaccurate. So they start at the same time, and then the different loops start shifting. So you get a random-like situation and sound experience. And then after the loop, it's also 4 minutes about, it stops again and resets and starts at the same time again. And then you have this process of shifting again. There's also some pictures that's from Ars Electronica Festival last year, where it was in the basement. So there it's mounted on a concrete wall, and so it's also very influencing on the installations, like which material the wall is, like, because here's the concrete, and so it's absorbing the sound, and this is a drywall where you have like a resonating body where you really can hear the sound in the whole space. And from this work there's also different versions. So this one I made or started making in Iran at residency, and it has also the Walkmans where you can hear sounds from the bus stations there, and they are switching with the solenoid. So when the solenoid gets touched by the pole, the Walkman starts on the one side and the other side, and then it's switching and also starting this random sound and making a noisy environment. And then there's a smaller version with different lengths where you also get different rhythms because of the different lengths of the rails. So that's it for the installations, and that's the other part. Like for me, it's almost like 50% installations, 50% performance, and also there's interconnections in between. Like sometimes the elements from the installations and the performances, and sometimes there's things from the performance also happening or appearing in installations. For the performances, I'll also show you a short video. It's like a cut from different performances over the last years. It's noise. It's quite noisy. It has also sometimes not so loud parts and quieter parts, but basically it's noise. I work a lot with feedback, and there's some pictures. But that's what I want to show you. I make short circuits on this kind of devices, like this, like kids' keyboards. Like this on the right is a bone tempi keyboard or Walkmans, and I have a liquid where I make short circuits directly on the amplifier parts and connect them through my body, because the body is conductive and works like a resistor in between, but I still can connect and influence the devices under each other. And I use a lot of no input also from the mixer, so I connect the output back to the input, or I connect the output to the input of the Walkman, the next Walkman, and then back into the mixer, and get a very distorted sounds, and create also, like with similar to the installations, a climax point, and then it's also like about quieter parts, and it's also a lot about the experience and the video. It's also like I always use directly the audio output for the video input, so I connect the audio output directly to the monitor, and then you get this just lines depending on the frequency and how loud or how strong the sound is. But if you use a lot of monitors, it's getting, because every monitor reacts differently to the signal, so you get a very nice visual effect. And for the beamer, I'm leaving somehow the analog, because that's everything analog. For the beamer, I need the digital stabilizer that the beamer can show the image, because you will lose the signal if you just plug the audio signal on the beamer input. I want to show this one, because where is it to connect? There's a connection point, it's like this gong. I also use for performances, for example, where I also trigger the gong with a electromagnet. And I think from the time we're still good, yeah. Because then I think that's it so far from the performances. Then I wanted to show, because in Linz, now since 3 years, I'm part of this space, Tresor Linz, where different kind of projects. It's an old basement in like about a bit more than 100 square meter, and I'm organizing their sound out concerts, and also have a collaboration with Offspace that's called Memphis, where there's exhibitions, and sometimes you use the same artist who performing and exhibiting to have a performance, and afterwards the opening. So like that's also like I'm kind of involved there and organizing or curating a series for sound art. There's another picture of it. And connected to this one, there's this project, because it's started there. It's a project with Jens Vetter, also artists from Linz, and where I connect this performance part, this very noisy part, with him. Like he's also working a lot with live coding and is a musician since many years, and now also working in the Tangible Music Lab in the university, or as a PhD student there. So we had this project that year, and it's like very structured songs, all about technology and the failing of technology and our anger with technology or failing with technology. And it's a bit of a fun project, but for me it was very interesting because it's very structured. Because normally when I make performances and play alone, I make just I create these fields of noise, very drony, and don't have to react on someone else. If I'm improvising with someone else, I have to. But like here, it's like really structured songs with melodies and rhythms. Yeah. And what else did I want to say? I think that's it. And then I wanted to play for the final, for the ending, to release you a song from this, because I thought it fits quite well. It was just a rehearsal recording, so it's not a finished song. It's just don't complain about the quality. But yeah, I think that's it from the presentation.
So, who would like to start with a question? Okay, then I start. There's a funny parallel I just saw. It was like, I think yesterday or the day before, Telegraph announced that they're gonna have a delete all button, where you don't only delete the messages on your device, but you delete on every device which is out there. So, to a certain extent, you're kind of thematisieren, you're kind of pointing towards that, but at the same time, to a certain extent, I mean, as we know with the new media, deletion is a fake. Because it's really hard to delete anything.
Yeah, even nowadays. Like if the company tells you they're deleting it on every device, do you really know it, or do they really know it that they deleted?
So everything? It's kind of confusing because like if you want to recapture your data, it's hard, but at the same time it's there.
Yeah, but also depends if you have to or want to, or it's I think it's a bit also about the awareness of. It's like with this, with the user-generated, not the unerasable text is like, because now I can see what the people are sending and they're not thinking about what they're sending because I have the number and know who sent what, and I'm sure they are not aware of this. And I think it's a bit of awareness, what do I put up there or out there that can be saved or can be read by someone, you don't know.
I have a question that is maybe more related to your process, because I found it very interesting that your projects, in some cases, like the Pang project in Seoul, is very much driven by a material, because you hear this sound, you get obsessed with this sound, you have to have this sound to put it into an installation as the sound as a material. And then other installations, like for example the rotating lights, seem to be more focused on the end result, like that climax where you hit max speed and then have total darkness. So I was kind of wondering how you usually approach your projects. Do you usually start from a material or a feeling like I really want to do something with this, or do you more have a vision of the end goal in mind?
I think it's a bit a mixture of everything, because it's really hard. It's like I'm not fixing something and I want to have it look like this. It's like in the process, things are happening. I know, like for the lights, I know I want to work with the lights, and then I start working with it, and then there's the idea of spinning them, getting them faster, and then working also with this experience of a dark room and light. And yeah, so but it's a lot of things are happening in the process. Like it's more in the performance, you can really see it. It's like just by trying out and then it's happening. But it's also, even if it doesn't look like in the for the installations, it's also the same kind of approach for me. Is that that something is moving me, what I wanna build or create or wanna say, but then I know it after I build it. Yeah. I would say, yeah. So it's also like a process for myself to experience the building and then to know what actually is it, what I did there.
Cool, thank you.
I don't know if the installations or your work was showed chronologically.
Not really. Like
Not really.
The printer was kind of first.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was the server, and then it was kind of chronologically. Like the performance is like alongside everything.
Well, my question still works though. It's yeah, the server and the printer seem to be kind of oriented on the audience and the user interacting with the art, and then you don't see that interaction anymore. Is it a conscious choice or
it's not a conscious choice, it just happened. Like I also like realized in the recent time, or like also before, because these two works, like the your unerasable text and user-generated server destruction, they fit well together. There's two other works that fit in quite well to this group, and then later I started building different ways, more about the experience, but not really about the input of the user itself. So, but it's more like for me this process of changing of what I'm building or what I'm doing, and it can change again. Like I have the feeling more that the people have to input more to the works themselves. But at the moment, it's more like the work is working with the people than the people with the work.
Thank you.
So if I understood correctly, you make sounds with devices with short circuits.
Mm-hmm.
Did it ever happen that you had like a device like breaking, burning, or even exploding? I don't know.
Yeah, actually, when I started, I thought they will not survive quite long. But recently, like I started 2014 with the first Walkman, and it just recently broke.
Oh.
Like it was the best one, and I was quite angry because it's also like from my childhood, the Walkman. And then I thought, okay, if I start using it, and it will break soon, but it didn't. But then it broke, and now I bought the same one again because it really has a nice sound. And then I started also to experience with putting cables, like circuit bending, and there I destroyed quite, I think, 3 keyboards super fast, and then I stopped it again because for me it was okay. I'm not changing, I'm not soldering anything on the devices, I'm just touching them, and you can still use them as they were.
Yeah.
So that's also like some point of is not to, like it's also like with the mixer when I make a no input circuit, I'm trying not to use any effects, just to work with the feedback and try to get as much as possible out of them. Like to have a limitation and work inside this limitation and not to have too much and getting lost in too much possibilities.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, then. I mean, like, to a certain extent, you answered it yourself before. It's like when I looked at your works, the first ones you showed. I mean, before you showed your sound works, I mean, they always have to do with drones, or is this just a coincidence? They're like with audio drones, not the flying machines. They always have a drone kind of feel to them.
Yeah, like I like a lot drone myself. Or actually I started to make this sound performance because I went a lot to this sound performance. Also in Korea, there was a super small space where just 20 people enter in an apartment. Then you have like super noisy sound and drone, and then everyone leaves again. And I was quite inspired by this because it never happened where I go in Austria. So, and then it was also a point to start doing this kind of sounds. and just experience. And then at some point I thought, why I'm not playing myself, because I'm just playing around, and then actually I could also do this on a stage or in a small apartment to play for people who are interested. Is this what you
totally
ask?
Any more questions? If not, I will finish.
Yeah, I have a question. I wonder whether when you're working with a guitarist, like another musician, if it's different for you to mix like the instruments that you build on technology and a more or less classical instrument.
Yeah, like I cannot play any instrument actually. Like I cannot play any how do I say, notes, or cannot read any notes. So for me it's like super interesting, because he is a professional and can play, and to learn from him, but with a different approach or dealing with it, and just using the built-in rhythms, and just by touching and try to listen and communicate on other level, not by reading the notes. Or I make some notes on my own, but I'm definitely not playing like a classical instrument. It's like more improvisation, but in this project is more structured with some space of improvisation, maybe.
So for your future project, is there a method, or is there already a future project you're working on, or what are the what is the future going to bring for you?
I would also like to ask myself, like, you got me in a point where I don't really work on a defined project at the moment, but that's always happening to me, and then one day I wake up and know, that's the project. So I could not show you now like a project I'm working on, but there's different things, like I'm working on the performance on different kind of stuff and trying out, but like I have some projects in my mind, like with flashes and creating an after image and burn it in the eyes, but it's all like nothing where I really work on it and would say, that's the next project for next year, and I will show it.
Thank you.
I think
there's one more.
Only one short question. So I want to say that thank you for your talk. I love your work very much. I was thinking about that a lot of your work only works really in the space where it's built, like the wall with the moving balls, and you, even if you make a recording, it does not work in the same way. So I wonder how you can scale it up to show it to more people. Did you think about
I think it's a question.
Anything like TV or radio, or how is it possible to make this accessible for a larger audience? Other than inviting them all to your space.
Yeah, like it's an interesting question, but does it have to be like such public that everyone can see it? Because it's also not possible, I think. Like you have, like for the performance, you need the projection, the screen, the speakers to experience it, and I think that's also what it is, like makes it special. That you have to go there, you have to experience it. Otherwise, you watch the video and just get a hint on what it can be if you would go there. And the same is also with the like, because also like with VR, I think it would be hard to experience this light installations or the sound installations. Like it's not that far yet, but I'm actually not working in this direction also. But I think it's interesting because it's more of like from this point of view, how to document the works to make them experience-able. It's not possible, I think.
I was really thinking about how to scale it up. Like, if you think it's a good piece of art, you might want to show it to more people, but it's very hard. I think if people go to your concerts, they would stop playing guitars or something.
Not the number of people seeing it makes it better. I would say. Like, of course, you can reach out more and now people can see it, but it doesn't make like that more people see it, it doesn't make it the better work.
Or maybe it makes better people because
Better people, yeah.
topics might be interesting.
But if many people would be interested in this kind of works, they would come to see the exhibitions.
Yeah, they cannot because it's so small. Like it's very easy to go to Andreas Gabalier's show, but it's very hard to go to your show.
That's a general
Yeah, I know, like some performances are quite packed, but there's a lot of performances where there's a lot of space for people. So I would say there's potential for people to come. And yeah, it's a very small niche, and it's not. Of course, I would like to play in a stadium like Andreas Gabalier, like with this kind of sound system would be nice. But I think it's not the audience or not the time yet, maybe, for this kind of audience, for the audience for this kind of sound. Yeah, but it's very interesting, like.
Because I think people listen to pop music because they hear it in the radio, so they get interested in it. And I mean,
yeah, but it's all, yeah. But like if
there's no chance to
the pop music is like this code they also dictate, or what they make people to listen, I think, or then they get used to it. Or if you, I think if you listen to this a lot, and this is the only thing you listen in radio, you would love it.
Yes.
Or you would hear the differences in between.
I'm convinced.
And then maybe a group of 20 people go to a bomb concert, and the neighbors will complain because it's so loud. Maybe. I didn't like noise at all. Maybe 15 years ago, my brother was listening to like some metal or like very noisy, like on the edge noise, and I couldn't stand it. But now I really like it, and it's also like of experiencing and listening to something, and then I get used to it, maybe, and then I find why I like it. Maybe, maybe it's not 15 years; it's longer ago, like 15 years.
Did you say you found out why you liked it?
No, not yet, but I know I have. For this noise performance, I have to do it. I don't know why, but I would not stop doing this because I really enjoy this. Getting into environments I cannot get. Actually, now with this basement, I can get this environment when I need it. Like to have these powerful speakers, but to be possible to perform and get all my equipment to move on the stage, on the pedestal, because everything is shaking so loud, and I can feel the sub bass because I'm touching it, is an experience I cannot reproduce in my home. And just this, to have this experience some month, is for me why a part of it why I'm doing it, I would say. Maybe cannot be the only part. But that's also like then connected to the installations where you have to experience it, or it's not really working. Or that's why it's worth to see it or go there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.